Welcome back to Success Profiles Radio. So many people live their lives wanting more than they currently have. And this show will clearly demonstrate the principles, if I can do it, you can do it. So let's get back to the show. This is Success Profiles Radio on the Rockstar Radio Network. And here again is your host, Brian K. Wright.
And welcome back. This is Success Profiles Radio. My name is Brian K. Wright, and my very special guest this week is Darrell Hornbacher, expert extraordinaire on credit, business, and personal. And we were talking a little bit about repairing credit in the last segment, and I want to explore the idea of someone wanting to take matters into their own hands and fixing their own credit. So, Darrell, how would someone go about doing that?
Well, the easiest way would be to buy my book. But aside from that, you can repair your credit yourself, okay? There are 200 laws. And those laws, as I believe you at this outset of the show, when you were giving my bio, they are split between the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And there are all of these different laws that when something is reported, and like I tell clients all the time, I don't really care about your culpability in the event that led to us talking. All I care about is were the results of that event reported accurately and legally to the credit bureaus. And there are very specific laws as to the legalities of how things are reported. You can go out through the internet and you can just Google do-it-yourself credit repair or how to fix my own credit. There's a dozen keywords you can use. Basically, when I wrote Kitchen Table Credit, I used a lot of the things that I had learned over the last 7 or 8 years. I also scoured the internet and took all of the information and put it into one 300-page book. I then gave it to my attorneys, and I had my attorneys actually write, I think there's 48 or 50 letters in the book that were written by attorneys that are the same exact letters that we use with our full-service clients. So bottom line, it's convenient.
Yeah, that's great. I was going to say, and I've read this book, so I can wholeheartedly endorse this. And so if you are interested in fixing your own credit, I really do recommend that you get Kitchen Table Credit. And as Darrell said, there are lots of templates of letters that you can use if you wanted to write letters to the credit bureaus or to your creditors individually. Are those letters in the book, you can use them just as they are, or do you need to tweak them, or is there some kind of a scanning or a process that these credit bureaus go through when they read the letter? I mean, how do they know where to go with that?
Those are letters that were written by attorneys that work, okay? And there are letters out there on the internet. There are very generic letters. In the book, as you saw, we get very specific on certain things. Although there are 200 laws out there as far relating to credit bureau reporting, there really are only 4 or 5 that get used every day. So we concentrated around those 4 or 5, made sure that we could deal with every issue, and they were letters that worked. What people need to do if they have a problem on their credit report, it doesn't matter if you were complicit in the event or not. It just doesn't matter. If you think it's wrong, if you think it was reported inaccurately, or if you're privy to all of the laws that you know it was reported illegally, then all you have to do is send a letter, attach the proper documentation. So if it was something that you paid off 8 years ago and it's still being reported on your credit bureau report, you need some proof that you paid it off. Proof of who you are, and that's it. You send it in, and by law, they have to take it off. They don't have a choice.
Okay. And so they have 30 days to respond to your request?
They have 30
or
days
they
to
have to
respond,
remove it?
And that happens pretty, it wasn't but a couple years ago before all the computers or all the credit bureaus had these supercomputers that the 30-day law came into play an awful lot. It doesn't anymore because now they're all computerized. You send a letter to them from the date they receive it. They have 30 days to mail to you. So the actual process really is about 37 days when you take into account mailing and things like that. Yeah, they pretty much can get to the original creditor and get back to you just because of the use of a computer.
Okay. Do you recommend that someone who sends a letter do it by certified mail so that there is proof that somebody got it?
I like to see certified mail, and I actually send 2 copies when I do a full service client. Is I will send a certified mail, and I will also send a regular mail, because the law reads that if you send it certified and it was refused, and you send a regular mail at the same time, and there's really no way to document that other than you should take notes of everything you do, that the actual regular mail piece, they accept that as the fact that it went through.
Okay. Do you recommend these requests be done in writing or over the phone? Do you have a preference, or is one better than the other?
Absolutely in writing. You're not even allowed really to do it over the phone. You can do it over the Internet. It gets lost in this gigantic bushel basket of Internet inquiries. Understand, these credit bureaus, people are starting to wise up, Brian, and these credit bureaus are getting inundated. So now they're setting new rules as to how they will accept a challenge on a derogatory, which if you don't follow those rules, and they literally change by the month, that they can throw your challenge out for cause, and they don't even have to respond to you.
Okay. Are we talking about only items that are erroneously reported, or are we talking about negative things that are actually true that someone just wants to get rid of?
We're talking about both.
Okay.
You can, and I'll give you one for example. The law, there's so many laws, but I'll give you for example. Let's say that you legitimately didn't pay a credit card, and you defaulted on it, and the credit card company tries to collect from you for 60 days or 90 days, and a lot of these credit card companies don't even have the facility to report you to the credit bureau for a charge-off. So what they do is they'll lease this debt. They don't sell it as a rule. They'll lease it. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but for the sake of this, let's just say they'll lease the debt to somebody. The law states that that person, that collection agency, has a legal right to report you to the credit bureaus for this charge-off or collection for the time that they are attempting to collect the debt, which is typically 30, 60, or 90 days. At the end of the collection effort, they must remove the item from your credit bureau report. They never do. So let's say they try and collect for 90 days. They put it on your credit, and they can't collect. They'll send it back to the credit card company. The credit card company will lease and release this debt numerous times. So the effect of that is very simple. You could have started off with a 700 credit score, had one bad instance, which would have taken your score down to only 680, say 20-point drop. But by them leasing and releasing this debt, and each time a collection agency doesn't remove it how they're legally supposed to, that 700 credit score can go down to 580, and all you've done is one little thing.
Wow. So you definitely recommend, I was going to say, you definitely recommend that people check their own credit reports on a regular basis.
Absolutely, because half of the time, if you have a charge-off or a collection, you'll see it reported 3, 4, 5. I've seen it reported one event. I've seen it reported as many as 11 times. And this person's credit was in the mid-700s, and for privacy, I can't say what it was, but it was in the middle 700s. By the time they got to me, their credit score was sub 500, and all they had done was one thing wrong, which is now going to haunt them, or could potentially haunt them for the next 10 years.
That just sounds so criminal.
Now you know why I have the passion for this that I do, because it absolutely is criminal, and we've got to change it.
Absolutely. Okay. Let's switch gears a little bit. I've read your book, Kitchen Table Credit, like I said. I think that's a really interesting name for a book. How did you come up with that?
It's really simple. I took a poll of 2,000 people that were past customers or potential customers or whatever, and I said, if you had bad credit and you wanted to get it fixed, what is the main reason you wouldn't get it fixed? And embarrassment was the number one answer. It was even above money, was embarrassment. So I went to an internet marketing guru, genius buddy of mine, and told him this story. And he said, well, where's the most private, intimate place that you could sit and fix your credit with nobody knowing about it? And I said, at the kitchen table. And he said, that's your name.
That is awesome.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, he's a much more brilliant guy than I am. But that's the name, and I said, you know what, that makes all sense in the world, and that's what we did.
Okay. We have less than 2 minutes to our next break. I do want to ask, what do you think the biggest hurdle is facing small business owners today when it comes to getting capital?
Again, preparation. I mean, if you go in and you've got to understand from a banker's point of view, they're seeing dozens and dozens and dozens of deals a month, hundreds and hundreds annually. Their human nature will take over, and they're going to push through the things that they can get pushed through in the quickest amount of time. It's a numbers game with them. Now, if you walk in and fill out an application and give them a shoebox, you're done. If you prepare, then you'll get through.
Okay, that's great. When we come back from our next break, we will talk about how a business owner can separate their personal credit from their business credit, because you are of the belief that someone's personal credit should not be part of their business credit. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We will discuss how Darrell does that with his clients after the break, and we will talk about some more fantastic and amazing topics. We will come back from our final break very shortly. My guest is Darrell Hornbacher. He's an expert in business and personal credit. His book is Kitchen Table Credit, and we will come right back after our final break. Can you believe how quickly this show is going? An hour goes really fast when you're talking about something as important as this topic, so we'll be right back. Please stay with us. This is Success Profiles Radio.